broadcasters. Welcome to episode 263 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name is Geige. I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a good week. Excited to be here with all of you. We have some exciting feature announcements for tonight as well. For anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard, and we do these town halls every single Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with all of you, go through the same flow that you all do with your own shows and productions. Two is to answer any of your questions. That's why we're calling it Ask StreamYard. So if there's anything you'd like us to touch on tonight, feel free to leave it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to as many as we possibly can. And three, I always mention the three pillars of StreamYard, which are ease of use, stability, and professional streams. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. See folks tuning in from all over the world tonight. Nice to have all of you here. I see April's here from Arctic. The temperature is Arctic where she is. It's very cold here too in Texas.
Yeah, there's a lot of places, especially, well, I know across the U.S. I'm not sure about everywhere else, but yeah, pretty chilly.
Awesome. Before I forget, we have some awesome shows on StreamYard. We have YouTube channel reviews with Dee and Daniel the second Saturday of every month. Really fun show if you're looking to grow on YouTube. Both of them are pros when it comes to all things video, but it's a fun show where they'll actually deep dive on individual channels to give a sense of, how to think about things like your audience, your thumbnails, your analytics. It's a great one. And then we have Enhance Your Live Streams the last Tuesday of the month with Nick Nimmin, who also is a pro when it comes to all things video. But check that one out for your specific live streaming questions. And then one thing we've been doing at the start of these so that we get to know a little bit more about you and you get to know a little bit more about us is a fun fact. And the fun fact we had for tonight is, do you have a favorite type of transportation? Do you have a favorite type, Dan?
I'm a huge fan of driving, to be totally honest. I know some people hate driving. I know you're actually one of them that really doesn't like driving, but I really love driving, always have. And I prefer to drive. It's not very common in the US or Canada, but stick shift, standard cars whenever possible. That was my first car was standard. I love driving standard cars. How about you?
Cool. Yes, I'm not a big fan of driving. It freaks. I find it a little bit scary / dangerous. But yeah, if I had to choose, probably walking. I would always try to optimize that, like for a job or whatever. Try to find a place that was walking distance was a big plus for me. So that'd be my choice. If I was driving a car, though, I always did find stick shifts fun. I just would always prefer to drive them maybe in like a parking lot or something without
not on like the ferry ramp with the 30-degree slope.
Yeah, no, not the ramps were the worst. Yeah, absolutely. With do the whole emergency brake thing. Yeah. Awesome. I see we already have lots of questions for tonight. Let's get to some of these before we get into our feature announcement. Let's see here. The Zapata brand boxing podcast says, how can you make those cool layouts with graphics on the stream? So you have lots of different options when it comes to graphics and layouts. So the specific layouts, we actually made it where you can make your own. So if you just go into the StreamYard Studio, there's a little pencil icon next to the default layouts, and you can actually choose exactly how you want it to look. Like you can, when it comes to the size and location of you and your guests, you have control over all of that. And graphics, there's all kinds of great products like Canva is a pretty popular one. Adobe, if you're looking for sort of more advanced options. And the simplest one actually is probably, believe it or not, Google Slides. It's pretty easy to like sort of make transparent overlays and graphics. So just start with whatever you're comfortable with, and you can get a sense of how to get something that fits your stream.
Yeah, and if you do just have and for a lot of the stuff Geige is mentioning, by the way, when you're making an image, you would just upload it as an overlay in the brand tab on StreamYard. But another thing, like just for our show here, where we have the kind of subtle wave background, that's just one of the example backgrounds on StreamYard. So there's a whole bunch of them. If you just, in the brand tab, if you just click on backgrounds, there's a bunch of kind of cool, both image and video backgrounds you can use yourself. It'll work nicely if, say, it's just you and a guest or a few guests. Just a nice little background helps out a lot.
Cool. I'm enjoying the transportation options. Lots of walkers as well. A limousine, right on. All right. Mad Mumsy says, love StreamYard. Thanks, Mumsy. Great to have you here. Can we have local recording and portrait mode soon, please? Love my first play with it. But then the recording was landscape. Yeah, so I assume, Mumsy, what you mean is like when it comes to the actual individual tracks, the ability to get those in portrait mode. Do you have any thoughts on that one, Dan?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. We are kind of just recording the source of the camera. So if the camera, if what Dave said is what you're referring to, where, say we're in portrait, but it's still kind of capturing this 16:9 for each person. That's basically just because that's the resolution of the camera almost always. So that's why we capture the whole thing. And then you can kind of crop it within an editor. So I don't know that we'll necessarily change that. We might, or might have more options. At the very least, though, I think we'll give more options in the editor, so you can kind of choose to get a different sized version out of that. We'll probably still capture the full size version, though, just in case you do want the full size version. But there's a lot more stuff coming around how to just improve the repurposing process. And I imagine that's why you want the local recordings in general. So stay tuned for that. But I don't know that we will just change local recording, so it's important. But either way, it's good feedback. It's good to know. And also let us know if we're off, if we're kind of misinterpreting what you actually want.
Yep, absolutely. Raki says, I have lots of questions. Awesome, Raki. Let us know all of them. Why can't I have the ability to share screen and share video from the phone? So it is possible to sort of get your phone screen on StreamYard, but it does require some additional software. I think one of the more popular. What's one of the more popular ones, Dan? There's a few people.
Yeah, so a lot of people, if you're on your computer actually streaming, you can use something like Reflector is a pretty popular one. I think it's Reflector 4 now, maybe Reflector 3, but I think it's 4, where you can basically screen share your phone. So you could be doing something on your phone and basically screen share that on your computer, but you have to have the phone and the computer. If you mean you're just streaming from your phone, we are adding, so we have a native app now for guests, and screen share will be coming relatively soon to that. And then eventually we'll also have an app for hosts, and screen share will also be on that. So we will at some point have an app for it. It is a little hard, I find, to really do a good job screen sharing on your phone while also using your phone and having your camera and everything. So the computer is still a very good option if you kind of want to have both. But yeah, we don't have that yet in the browser. So coming relatively soon.
Awesome. Let's see. Let's do maybe a couple more here before getting into the announcement for tonight. J.R. White says, how can you have a private interview / conversation with StreamYard? Yeah, absolutely, JR. The easiest way to do that is instead of just when you're going to create a broadcast, there's an option, or when you click create, there's an option to do a recording. And if you do the recording option, you're going to be the only one with that link unless you choose to share it, right? So if you're having a private conversation with someone and you want to record that, you just send that link out, and that person will be the only one who can access that link.
Yep.
Let's see here. Izzy says, love the platform. I do have a question regarding testing my microphone. Like most meeting platforms, you can check your sound quality. Will you be able to do that for future updates? Yeah, that's a good question, Izzy, or a good suggestion. And it's definitely something that we've chatted about, is giving folks more tools to be able to check their audio quality and their guests' audio quality. So I do think that's something we want to add in the future. Any other thoughts on that one, Dan?
I don't think so. Yeah, all we show now is just a bar, basically just so you know that it's working. But yeah, obviously it doesn't necessarily tell you what the volume is or if there's any weird artifacts or something. So yeah, I would like to improve
that. David says, ever thought of having a switch for each feature so users can turn them on and off to clean up their dashboard? Yeah, that's a good suggestion. David, I would be curious, like which ones you find are cluttering your dashboard, because we've tried to make it where most features are kind of tucked away unless you choose to use them, and then we might surface them to you, given that we can now see that you're using the feature. But I'd be super curious which ones you find are sort of getting in the way.
Yep. Yeah, me as well. Yeah, because one of the challenges, obviously, with adding settings to hide stuff is that's even more settings than we had before. So we need to be kind of careful how we would do that. But if there is very specific features that a lot of people find get in the way and they don't use, then it could definitely make sense.
Awesome. I see also the question, David, on MOV files. That is something that we would like to add. So to give folks the ability to basically make a video overlay that has alpha channel, or the ability to be transparent in certain areas without having to use the GIF option. John has a good suggestion here when it comes to overlays and graphics, to take a screenshot of the StreamYard layout and put it into graphic software. Yeah, that's a very quick and easy way to sort of get the right dimensions and everything. It's a great idea.
Yep.
All right, we'll get back to questions in a second here, but I do want to get into some of the fun announcements we had for tonight. First one that we're excited about is captions for shorts and reels. So this is sort of an extension of the new transcription features that we've added. So now after you've done a recording or a live stream, when you go into the editor, you'll have the option to turn on captions, which is basically the ability to sort of burn in those captions into the video. Then the reason why this we wanted to add this is it's obviously very popular on platforms like Shorts and TikTok, where folks are watching those mediums without audio, and they want to be able to sort of scroll and see what's happening in the video without actually being able to hear it. So we wanted to give folks an easy way to sort of burn those into their videos. Do you want to maybe screen share, Dan, how it works?
I do. Okay, so for anyone who's familiar, this is the library page for a specific video. So this is actually our town hall last week. So it's basically on the dashboard, click the library tab, clicked on this video, and you can also get here from the studio, but there's basically an edit and repurpose button. And then a lot of you are probably familiar with this, but you can, trim either a 16:9 landscape video or portrait video. So captions right now is only available for the portrait videos. We may eventually add it for landscape as well. I imagine we probably will. You're actually going to hear this as I play it, just because the sound is going to come out of my speakers. But I think that's also probably useful for you to hear it. So here, if I'm trying to come up with a short, let's say maybe I want to do a 30-second short. I've found the part that I want to have. As you may also be aware of, we also added transcriptions into the editor really recently, so you can basically see exactly where you are. And now the new feature here is the one right here, where you actually see the caption burnt into the video. So if I play,
on us is a fun fact. And the fun fact for tonight was which social platform, I have a typo in there, which social platform do you spend the most time on?
So you can see it's basically playing the caption as it plays the audio. And when I actually export this and post it as a short, the caption will just be burnt into the video. Like Geige said, it's really good if anyone's on one of the social platforms, especially TikTok, YouTube Shorts. People scroll pretty quickly, are constantly going to the next video. And a lot of them, tons of people play videos muted, especially shorts. So it's nice to have those captions just burnt in.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's just the start. Depending on the feedback we get from all of you, definitely want to continue improving and adding on to captions. I think Dan already mentioned it, but it's not available to everyone yet. It's slowly rolling out, but keep an eye out for it in your editor.
I don't think I actually mentioned that. Yeah, it's not available today, but it's going to be ready or rolling out over the next week or so. So you'll start to see it in the next week or so. And you can turn it on or off with this right here.
Yep.
We skip to a part that actually has a caption, so you can just see it. I'm on and off. Cool.
Have a question here from Creative Lady. Can we edit the caption if it's not accurate? So this is just the first version. That obviously is a critical feature that we do plan on adding. But right now you can't edit them. It's just going to reflect the transcript. Yep. Fortunately, the transcripts are highly accurate. So there's pretty good chance that you're not going to have to edit it. But of course, understand it's a critical feature. But we wanted to get it out and start getting feedback from folks.
Yep. Yeah. The transcript's never going to be perfect, but we tried to make it as good as physically possible, and we'll constantly work on trying to make it even better as much as we can. But yeah, I would like to eventually have the ability to edit the transcript, just not yet. And if there's any other feature requests as well, let us know. I think there's a lot more things we can add here to keep improving it, but I think it's a great start.
Absolutely. Mathematica says English only. Is it English only?
Now, yeah. Just because our transcripts are English only for now, but we will start rolling it out probably with Spanish and Portuguese next, and then other languages after that.
Absolutely. Robin says, Robin and NYC here. Nice to have you here, Robin. When I share the link for guests to join me via email, they are given a choice to enter via FB, my destination, rather than to just join me, and I let them in. Why does that happen? So based on your question, Robin, I would guess that you're sharing the viewer link instead of the
I think this might be Geige case of having the guest must authenticate, if I do guess.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So what is happening most likely, Robin, is we do have a feature in the setting that you can find within the settings of your studio that, like Dan mentioned, is an authentication option for, I guess it's totally optional. You don't have to have it on, but you likely turned it on if your guests are seeing this. So I would just go into, if you want to turn it off, just go into settings.
In the guest tab.
In the guest section, and you can just uncheck that. And it's off by default. So for other folks watching, it shouldn't be on for you. And the whole reason for that is if you do want an extra way to vet people, that's just an option to be able to sort of ban people based on their Facebook or YouTube account. But yeah, I would just turn that off if you don't want them to be prompted there.
Yep. Yeah, you may have turned it on at some point if you ever had to ban somebody. That's pretty common. If you had someone in the studio you didn't want and maybe ban them, or maybe you just turned it on. Of course, we could be wrong. If you're referring to something else, let us know. But I'm guessing if you're just referring to something where when guests join, it says, hey, you need to log in with YouTube or Facebook, then that would be this setting. And it's just called guests must authenticate. Just turn that off.
Absolutely. Gary says, when broadcasters offer ideas to improve StreamYard, how are those suggestions prioritized? Just curious. Yeah, that's a great question, Gary. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Of course, the frequency that they come up is a big one, but also how well it fits into the overall StreamYard pillars and our vision for the product and priorities. So there's a bunch of things that feed into it, but those are probably the main ones. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we had here. Let's maybe do one or two more here, and then I wanted to do a quick reminder on some of the other recent updates that we had. Maurice says, how can I go live on IG versus taping the segment and then posting? Yeah, that's a good question. Maurice, that was actually one of the recent changes, actually, is that previously Instagram was pretty limited on who had access, but now it's quite widely available. All you have to do is make sure you have an IG professional account, which doesn't cost money or anything, just on Instagram. We have a doc that walks you through exactly how to do it. But once your account is of that type, you can actually stream to Instagram, and you can do it from StreamYard now, and you can just select it as a destination. It is pretty early for Instagram when it comes to taking in external feeds. So the overall flow and integration is not nearly as smooth as like Facebook or YouTube, but we're optimistic that they'll make additions in the future to allow us to sort of make the same types of integrations that we have with Facebook and YouTube. But yeah, all you have to do, go on StreamYard, select it as a destination, and then follow those steps. And that will allow you to do a live stream versus just posting it after the fact.
Yep. Yeah, pretty exciting.
Absolutely. Dr. Constance says, are you guys going to Podfest? Yes, thanks for the reminder. Our team will be at Podfest, Dr. Constance. And yeah, hope to please come to our booth. We'd love to meet you.
Cool. Is that Florida? Is it in Florida?
I should know off the top. I don't actually know off the top of my head. It's it's Joanne and team members will be there. I need to double check
and let us know.
Yeah. Peter G says, speaking of audio, how about a way to view everybody's audio who's on in order to make sure the levels are equal? Because your auto level doesn't make sure all the time that levels are equal. Yes, Peter G. Similar to the question earlier about being able to sort of hear yourself and verify the quality of the audio. We do want to give more audio options to make sure folks have complete sort of visibility. Seems like a weird word.
Visibility.
Yeah. The ability to know exactly how everyone sounds. So that is something that we'd like to add.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get back to questions in just a second here, but in case you missed it, we did have some pretty big additions last time. One of those was the OnAir privacy settings. So if you're someone who uses OnAir for the most common use case for this would be if you're using it at your company for an all hands or some sort of internal type of content. What the privacy settings allow you to do is make sure that only folks with a certain domain can actually register for the OnAir webinar. We actually use this ourselves at StreamYard. So our employees have the StreamYard.com email domain. So we're able to limit it that only folks with that email domain can actually register and watch the all hands type event that we do. Did you want to quickly show it, Dan?
I do, yeah. And there is a bunch of more privacy settings coming fairly soon as well. So this is kind of the first step towards more privacy controls for OnAir. I should make sure I share the right tab. Shrink it a bit to get the banner out of the way. So this is on the StreamYard dashboard. I basically created an OnAir stream just through the modal here, or an OnAir webinar. And then you can just edit the OnAir settings. For anyone who's done an OnAir, you're probably familiar with this. There's branding, there's some watch settings, a bunch of different stuff. but the new one here is in registration. So within registration, you can now make it public, which is the default. It's really more like unlisted, where there's just a link. If you send the link, anyone can access it. Or now you can restrict it to specific domains. So in this case, I basically made one where only people with a StreamYard.com email can actually enter. So that would be like, if we were doing an internal stream to all StreamYard employees. But it's great if you want to do any kind of internal stream, where only like very specific email domains be able to enter or to register. You can turn that on. And like I mentioned, there's more privacy settings coming here pretty soon.
Absolutely. I guess one thing I should have mentioned at the beginning too is if you're not familiar with OnAir, if that's sort of a new word for you, OnAir is basically StreamYard's version of the ability to do private live streams or your very own webinar. It's pretty cool, and it also works even if you're live streaming to other platforms as well. So say you want to go to YouTube, Facebook, but also go to maybe your own website. It's super easy to embed that OnAir in there along with a private chat. And the nice thing about being able to do that with the OnAir is if you do want to sort of collect emails or information from folks, you can do that. Unlike, embedding YouTube is also great, but it'll be more difficult to do something like being able to capture that info. So we're excited about that addition.
Cool.
Com Clear Media says, question, as a host, could I limit registration to a third party hosting for a client? So you can choose multiple domains. So if you're hosting the webinar on behalf of someone else, all you'd have to do is basically choose whatever email domain that your client would like you to limit it to. But if I'm misunderstanding, please let me know.
Yeah, like it definitely doesn't have to match your email, if that's kind of what you mean. And obviously I use StreamYard in the example, but I could have used literally anything. And then it's just like the people, when they register, they have to have an email from that domain. And then we'll also send them an email, and they have to enter a code basically to confirm they actually own the email that they said they did. So yeah, as long as everyone has a similar domain or, a set of a few different domains, because you can enter, I think it's up to 25 domains. So if, people are going to have one of 3 separate domains, you can just put all those in there. The only time it won't work is if you have like 50 people you want to invite that all have, Gmail domains, or they all just have random emails. That won't work, but we are working on a separate feature for that.
Awesome. All right, let's see what else we had here. Thanks so much, Rosalie. Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Glad to have you here on StreamYard. That's fantastic.
Cool.
Gig Work Mama says, I'm looking forward to when StreamYard can integrate with scheduling systems. I can't wait to replace Zoom by SY. Would be super curious, Gig Work. The most common one we generally hear is Calendly, but would be curious if that's the one that you'd like us to integrate with, or if there's another one that you're using.
Yep, and I assume this means for guests. Like you have a
Yes,
guest you want to be able to book on a show or something.
Yeah, that would be good to know. Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project says, is OnAir available to basic free users? So right now, OnAir is only available on paid pro plans and up. It's possible that we would also make a version of it available to basic in the future, but right now it's just for pro users and up. Part of that is it is somewhat expensive for us to actually host it. Like unlike something like YouTube, where YouTube's distributing it, when you're using OnAir, it's actually on StreamYard's infrastructure. So there are costs associated with that. Should we go ahead and start queuing up the giveaway for tonight, Dan?
Let's do it.
Creative Lady says, ever think about, on a similar topic, giving away a month free and the weekly giveaway? Yeah, it's definitely something we're open to. I think we have maybe did it in the past a long time ago, but yeah, it's definitely something we could start again if that's appealing to folks. Part of the reason I think we didn't do it is so many folks watching are on at least this town hall in particular, are on a paid version, but it's definitely something we can do again. Great. I think many folks are already familiar with the giveaway, but we always do these towards the end of the show. And to be eligible, all you have to do is type in #TheYard. And tonight we'll give away a StreamYard pillow and a StreamYard sweater. And if you're ever interested in doing a giveaway like this for your own show, we actually made this tool available at StreamYard.com/giveaway. And there's a video that walks through exactly how to use it. But basically, you can do exactly what we're doing, where you just screen share like how Dan is doing right now. And you can even choose your own keyword. So instead of #TheYard, it could be, #MyAwesomeShow. So we'll give you maybe 10 seconds or so to get in your hashtag the yards, and I'll do maybe a couple more questions here in the meantime. Let's see what else we had here. We have a question from Alexi says, how well does StreamYard work for gaming creators? I've seen it work well for Q&A sorts of streams. I like the usage of things like subscriptions or competitions, etc. Yeah, absolutely. So definitely it's the more common ones that we'll see folks doing is talking head show formats, so similar to what Dan and I are doing, or maybe game commentary where they're watching a clip and reacting to it. Just given the sort of feature set that StreamYard has where you can show the comments and clips and things like that. That's the most popular type of use case. But we absolutely have lots of folks streaming games to platforms like Twitch.
Yep. Yeah, it's not the main use case, but some people definitely do it.
All right, I think the number has stabilized, yeah?
It has. And sorry, what are we giving away?
A StreamYard pillow and a StreamYard sweater.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. Brandon's recovering. Congrats. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. I've seen you in the chat quite a few times, so great to see you win there.
Cool.
Cool. I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. Let's see what else we had. We have a question here from the Broken Prophet says, can we have an option to add browser source bots like bot tricks so that we can have screen alerts for donations, subs, etc.? I'll have to look at bot tricks. That's a newer one for me. Do you want to take that one, Dan?
Yeah, not at the moment, but it is something we're quite open to. We might do like a slightly different version or have some of our own stuff, and then a combination of that with maybe being able to use external browser sources like that. But no, not right now. It's not something you can do at the moment, but certainly open to adding it.
Awesome. Let's see what else we had here. Wanderer US says, how did you come up with the name StreamYard origin story? It's not super exciting. I think the main sort of idea was we wanted a name that sort of fit the idea of a place to sort of build your stream. So sort of like the combination of like lumberyard / stream. So that was the idea.
Yeah, I remember we narrowed it down to a few names, and then we sent them all to my brother, and he actually chose the final name.
Yeah, he was a fan. I was trying to find Roberto's question, but I'm trying to find it in the
He was asking about 4K.
Oh, 4K. So 4K specifically for local recording is something that is in our plans and coming relatively soon. So stay tuned on that. And local recording, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is basically StreamYard's ability to record directly on your device, which is really useful if you're doing maybe a remote podcast or a remote interview where you care a lot about the quality of your video and the person that you're interviewing. So it's not really at the mercy of the person's connection because it's recording on their own device and then sort of slowly being uploaded in the background.
I saw someone was asking what Brandon won, so I just wanted to show off the merch.
Perfect.
So he won. You said the pillow and the sweater?
That's right.
The one in the bottom corners there. But we give away various things on each town hall.
Awesome. All right. With that, this was episode 263 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It was always a pleasure getting the chance to chat with you and get your feedback on the product. We'll see you next week at the same time, Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Awesome. See you next week, everyone.